GM Farcaster. We are back and hope you enjoyed our replay of our interview with Jesse. That was a lot of fun to look back on because that was looking back at 4 days after Frames launched on Farcaster. So that was crazy. And just if you think about the explosion that's happened, not only for Farcaster, but for base in that time period, insane to think back. So we're here chatting with some base builders from Cattown and from Talent Protocol, and hopefully we might get Robin swinging in here to chat about moshicam. First, want to start with Will. W. Benz is what I usually refer to you as, from base. And thank you for being here for our birthday. And I love your background. I'm obsessed. I kind of need that image if you wouldn't mind just dropping it to me because it's really cool.
I will.
We want to say GM to you. And so
good afternoon. Good night, everywhere. It's such a what a gift to get to be here with you all. I just feel like the last year's gone by. In some ways so slow, but in other ways really fast. It's kind of like Interstellar or something like that. I feel like if you're not in this space, everybody else is on a quite different timeline. So congrats to you all. It's such a privilege to even make a background to be here. So
we're so happy to have you here. You've been such an early supporter of GM Farcaster, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate base also, their early support. They're just beyond anything financial that base does, which they're so good about supporting builders, but the recognition and the amplification of what you're building, that to me is almost priceless, because we don't see that from a lot of other areas and a lot of other platforms that we're using. So really appreciate that. And for those who don't know, every single episode of GM Farcaster has been minted on base via Zora. So we are base maxis.
Someone asked me last night, I was at a base meetup in New York City with the base team. And I was telling someone I do an on-chain podcast about Farcaster. We mint everything on base. And someone asked, why base? And Prof, I don't even think we ever had a conversation. It's about which chain we were going to use. And so someone kind of asked why. And we've said before, just because, we just say because base, and we expect people to know what that means. And I did say also because of Jesse, but it's just the consistency, it really is base for builders, and the support for builders of all kinds, not just developers, but artists and kind of creators, business owners, just anyone building anything. And it's just the consistency of talk the talk, but walk the walk. And I guess it hasn't been I can't say year after year after year, because we're base only launched, I guess.
It's only a little over a year.
But I'll say month after month after month, and it just we never look back, and it's just such a great place to be building.
It's so true. And we also loved Base Camp. Base Camp was a lot of fun. It was great to meet so many other builders. What an incredible experience. Oh, she's rocking the Base Camp. I almost wore that, and then I went with
the day.
This is that's your first outfit change? This is my fourth.
Yeah.
I've been changing every segment. But this is definitely, I have my base hat. But Will, we want to turn it over to you for a minute and talk about what if somebody wants to build on base, where is a good starting point for them? How do they get involved? If they have an idea, or even if they don't, where should they start in terms of building on base?
Yeah, definitely. And I just also wanted to remark on what you all were saying. I've been in this space a long time. I think about probably over 10 years. And there's a lot of toxic parts of the crypto ecosystems. And I just never, even before, right at the beginning, the early days of base, when there's just literally nothing, I've never, ever seen such a positive nexus of people coming together. I've just never seen anything like it. Even off chain, it's so many people building up, not even just in the form of code, but just like building each other up and just focusing on like being optimistic and trying to do more things on chain. And so like, I think segueing that to what you were asking me, I think a lot about how in the early days of the mobile era, we kind of all really simple kind of dumb phones that all did the same thing. You could like change your ringtone or use your numbers to send a short text message. And then in the short span of time, that all changed for all of us. We connected to a new internet with the release of like the iPhone. All of a sudden, we had like all these apps that we never had access to before. Like I remember getting like an app that was like $1 that I could level something on my wall. I never even used it, but I was like, I can level something on my wall. And so
I think I have that app too, and I've never used it because, like, when am I ever going to need to level something on my wall? But
I've totally used the level. I have used the level. I don't know if everybody knows you have this, but like, yeah, it's amazing. So funny.
Yeah, and so, and then for like with crypto in general, I mean, with Bitcoin, amazing tech like changed the world for us. So many talented people coming into this idea of something open and permissionless that we can use, and in that we also saw some shortfalls where it takes too long for a transaction to confirm. We can't use this to buy a cup of coffee. We can't reinvent the future of finance, etc. And but we kept building, and along came Ethereum and solved like some problems there. We have smart contract applications now, and it's super fast. But then everybody started using it, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's too expensive. We can't use this to buy a cup of coffee anymore. It's like, it's just not working. And now I think it's one of the first times, like really in the last year, where we're not limited by technology anymore. It's super fast. It's super cheap. Like I think on Base, it's using Coinbase Wallet. It's basically free. It's fractions of a cent to transact. And so I go back to this example of the like a new internet, and I feel like we're now on the edge of a new internet, like new applications. DeFi is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's gonna be a huge part of our experience. But there's new apps. Like we have people here right now that are building right now on this call, like this meet, that are building new innovative apps. Like so. I think we're going to see a big change from the next anniversary of Good Morning Farcaster with the types of utility that people can have by connecting with an open permissionless network. And so the best place I think for that is just base.org/get started. It's all one word, or just base.org. It's to help you connect to the right place, or join the Discord, base.org/discord. There's a bunch of people there that I'm really trying to build each other up, be positive, and make something better.
And you're doing also some base builder calls as well, right?
Yeah, so we do office hours multiple times a week. For sure, like go to the Base Discord for that. We have a calendar up there in the top left corner. Like whether it's a builder, like you're doing something in DeFi, you just want to connect and ask questions, you just want to hang out. We have all kinds of ways to not only connect with us, but connect with other people. And I think in this kind of vein of building up, like one thing that I really love is this. It's cheesy, but so many things in this world right now are literally like breaking down. There's so much negativity, like you just watch the news and stuff like that. But the Base community, it's literally like there's no gender, there's no like controversial ideologies that we're debating. We're literally people trying to connect and build something better. And I think that's just thematic, like whether you're on those calls or in one of our build-a-thons or even just hanging out like on Farcaster. It's just a really different place.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I want to dive in and chat with some of the other folks who are building some amazing things. And let's start with Cat Town and the team from Cat Town. We've got Rob, Tara, and Crunkles. I am going to call you that. Yep. To chat about Cat Town. So tell us, what is Cat Town and what are you building?
Yeah, so I'll kick off. I'm Rob. I'm from Cat Town. I'm the Solidity developer there. Crunkles is the front end, and Tara does our design. Essentially, what we're trying to build is, we've played a lot of those casual games like Stardew, Animal Crossing, and they're very addictive cycles and very fun. And essentially, what we're trying to do is replicate that on chain as much as possible. So our first release was fishing, which is essentially we just hit 1 million mints on our fishing mini game. So we've had 1 million 5,000 players mint over 1 million fish. So
wow,
Congrats.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a lot of fish.
It is. So essentially, they fish up fish, and they can also fish up treasure, which is going to be used in the future adventure system that we're building. Essentially, our long-term goal is to take all those ideas, all those like casual indie games like Stardew and Animal Crossing, and sort of blend them into this town where you play as a cat and you sort of adventure and you can craft, cook, fish, and do all the sort of fun side quest stuff, while minimizing. Obviously, it is on chain, so there is like an effective cost to everything. So randomization on chain costs money, and things like that. Thankfully, we've been able to eliminate the gas costs thanks to Coinbase Developer Platform. So we're completely we pay for all the gas for our players, and yeah, it's our vision is essentially an on-chain Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing. Well, myself and Crunkles are big fans of the sort of ARPG games like Diablo 2. So our adventure system, we're leaning quite heavily into that style where it's, it drops like ARPG style items, which we think something different that we haven't really seen anyone else do on chain is sort of like the whole like active ARPG, where with the tech that's coming out with session keys and gasless, we can create a seamless, fully on-chain ARPG without the memeable sort of signed transactions. We can make it seamless and fully on-chain.
So when you say you're making it seamless, so are you using a built-in wallet and like an embedded wallet, and then just covering the gas for that activity? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Initially we did embedded wallets, but in June we moved fully to smart wallets instead of embedded.
I'm using the wrong word. You're right. I should be using the word smart wallet. My bad. Especially here. My God, what am I doing in this company? I know, right? I didn't get the branding memo. I'm sorry. I forgot.
We don't make it easy. It's like
forgot.
But yeah, since we moved to smart wallets, we've managed to onboard around 3,500 people to it.
Incredible.
And we're consistently fairly high up in the smart wallet KPIs. So yeah, smart wallets direction, I think that's going to change the way people look at it, especially whenever it comes to the session keys thing that is coming out pretty soon. The way
can you
that
expand
you
a little bit on that when you say session keys? Either you or Will or whoever wants to expand a little bit. What does that mean, and how is that going to improve the gameplay?
Yeah, so for us, our goal long term is to have the ARPG element, and if you had to sign a transaction for every attack that calculated a damage formula on chain, it wouldn't be very practical and it wouldn't be very fun. But what session keys allows you to do is it allows you to say, okay, this app can use 0.1 Ethereum per day or per week or whatever. And you sign that off. Essentially, you give that app permission to use that amount per day. And from then, you can click a button and it'll do something in the background on chain, and you'll never know. You're essentially
So you're kind of like putting these funds into like escrow, if you will, or like a sort of that they can just pull from and saying, I approve up to this amount. Is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
completely permissionless, and from our testing, it improves the game. It improves the game flow significantly. So it's something we're
It
really
seems like
looking
this solves a big problem that a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of game developers have talked about doing. When you talk about on-chain gaming, this has been like one of the blocks of like, how do you do it without having to like keep signing in and all that. So
Yeah.
that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think
That's
for
great.
us, one of our primary goals was to do as much as possible on the blockchain, like damage formulas and things like that, and complex mathematical algorithms on chain. But obviously, the issue with that is you have to sign every single transaction.
Right.
But we're hoping with session keys that that quickly becomes a thing of the past. So, yeah,
Amazing. That's amazing. So if somebody wants to play the game, what's the process? Do they have to mint a fishing pole? Is that the process there, and then they get to play?
Yeah, so essentially we have two releases right now. We have the Town Square, which is our yield. It's a very basic sort of you buy cats, they generate floofs, and then you can either use your floofs to get more cats or you claim your yield. So it's just a very basic sort of
Okay,
DeFi thing.
floofs is a great word.
Thank you.
I love the word.
That's all Tara. But yeah, so we sort of launched with that just to get our foot into the market. Then we launched fishing, and if you play fishing with a smart wallet, it's completely free to start. You get a free rod, which is normally
Cool.
around 3,000, 4,000 kibble, which is our ERC20. So it's $25. But it's completely free with smart wallet. So you just go to cat.town and you click on fishing. If you log in with a smart wallet, there's a button that just says free. You click that and you can get started fishing. And fishing is actually only open at the weekends, but we've just opened it there now, 3 hours early. So anybody who's watching can go log on and have a go.
Amazing. I love that, and I'm excited to go in and try it out too. And I think this is like a really cool thing that I could use with my class as well, to kind of show them, how blockchain is going to be working in the background of different things like gaming, and you're not even going to really know it. So that's very, very cool. GM Robin, I know you were running about, and I think you have to leave at 4. So I'm going to jump to you real quick and then circle back to Philippe. So Robin, you are building moshicam. And if you want to just quickly chat about working on that with Base, and also we were just talking about smart wallets. moshicam also uses a smart wallet. So if you can talk a little bit about building that out and sort of what it took to kind of get to this point.
Yeah, totally. Good to be here. Thank you for having me. Also, just congratulations. Huge milestone. Really, really exciting. Actually, huge fan of Cat Town. So I think Cat Town and moshicam are actually two of the most popular smart wallet like contracts, just like in general, which
Very
is really
cool.
awesome. We actually did a collab, and Cat Town, we have a Cat Town border, Polaroid border on moshicam, and we did a giveaway, which was awesome. People just submitted a bunch of pictures of their cat, but yeah, for in terms of what
It's
moshicam
better
actually,
than the feet pics, right? Yeah, we like the cats. Yeah.
yeah, we won't.
We like
I don't
the
think we
cats.
have enough time for that. I don't
Yeah,
think we have enough time.
we
for
already
that.
go watch the other episode we did with Robin, and we dive into that whole entire thing. Sorry, continue, Robin.
Or don't.
No, yeah, fully
it all.
optional. But yeah, in terms of what the app is, it's another sort of consumer app on Base. With mobile first, you take a photo, put a Polaroid border around it, and add some stickers, kind of design it the way that you want, and publish it on chain without really sort of feeling the traditional friction that you might have with like submitting a transaction to like mint something, right? So Smart Wallet has helped us sort of abstract a lot of that away, and Base is kind of the de facto chain that Smart Wallet supports. So yeah, that's why I work in this ecosystem, and it's been great. Like the teams are amazing. They've been super helpful, and as they're rolling out new updates to Smart Wallets, I don't know if you guys touched on session keys at all.
We just were
we're
talking about session keys, and that was actually what I was going to ask is, does that help moshicam at all in terms of what you're doing?
100%, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It feels like it'll be a game changer. Basically, the way Smart Wallet works is it allows you to use your passkey, so like your Face ID, your fingerprint, whatever, to confirm a transaction. Now that action actually gets pretty tiring in of itself if you're like scrolling the feed and every time you want to do anything at all, you actually have to, kind of have to use Face ID. So even that adds up, even though it's like a lot better than switching apps entirely. It still adds up. It still adds friction over time. And so what session keys will allow you to do is you basically get a time limited permission. You ask for permissions from the user, the signer, and say, hey, can we have permission to spend up to $5 a week, right, from your wallet, or $10 a week from your wallet? And then once that is approved, then they can just collect without any pop-up, not even Face ID, through the session key permissioning.
That's awesome. That sounds great. I think that's going to make a big difference in terms of friction. I do have one question that I'm sure other people are thinking. Is there any security concern with that, where you're doing that approval? Is there a way to like then unapprove it if you change your mind or something like that? Okay.
Totally. Yeah. I think it's, as far as I understand, I don't think it's like ready for prime time. Like I think they're still on testnet. They want to get fully audited. They're definitely, you don't want to like accidentally give away,
Right.
infinite access, right? But I think it's not that much worse than what people are already used to. So if you're trading NFTs on OpenSea, you kind of have to give access to like your entire. They can do anything, right? On your behalf. If you're approving like a trading pair on Uniswap, you actually have to give pretty significant access. And traditional, even TradFi, like if you're used to logging in with Plaid, right? Logging in with your checking, like basically giving another finance
Right.
app access to your checking account. Technically, they could do a lot of stuff, right? They could actually, if you're using that Plaid integration to pay rent, they could take more than that. So, it obviously, like, we want to make it as clear as possible that the risk is there, but I think it's tough to totally eradicate it. But yeah, revoking permissions, adjusting permissions, like that'll all obviously ship as well.
All right. Awesome. Let me shift gears over to Philippe and talk about Talent Protocol and what you're building and how that has been going working with Base.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. And yeah, I mean, it's been amazing so far. I mean, I think at Basecamp probably as well, we're thinking, I mean, it feels like this relationship goes for so long, but it was only when we realized, oh, Base is only 1 year old, and that you realize it's not been that long.
Crazy.
But yeah, so much has happened since then. Just to give kind of a quick context about Talent Protocol, I mean, if you look at it from the builder's perspective, we're basically trying to build an on-chain resume, but there's a lot more under the hood. So
Right.
looking at from the other side, I think it's kind of an open, kind of verifiable professional reputation system, and built for this new internet, like Will was mentioning. So basically, assuming that we have this new internet, how would you build like all the recruiting systems, your professional profiles from scratch, giving all the primitives that we have now? And then, yeah, this is kind of what we're trying to do. We're tracking, indexing reputation data from over a million people, a million builders in all different levels, different types of builders. Of course, because what we want to do is kind of the opposite of what happens today. What we want is kind of that magical experience that your resume is built for you. Just need to connect your wallet and your accounts, and it's automatically populated. And it's of course very magical for you as a user because you don't have to input any information ever again. But it's also very beneficial for employers and recruiters because they can trust all that information because it's verifiable because they know, okay, you are the owner of this account and this information came from your GitHub, came from your wallet. So it's all verifiable information. But I think since we want kind of the opposite of the self-reported resumes that exist today, it's kind of what we're trying to build.
I think that's pretty huge, and I think that's huge for employers, but also huge for consumers who are, might need to see if they can trust a team of, a project or something like that, and being able to have a place where they can look and be like, okay, what's your, essentially your reputation score,
and I think
and have that be verifiable on chain. It's fantastic.
But even before going into the verification part of it, which of course we can kind of see the benefits, I think there's even the visibility of it, because nowadays probably people have all their kind of reputation information scattered around multiple platforms. You have something on Twitter, something on your wallets now, something on LinkedIn, something on GitHub, and it's very hard for you to show kind of all of you in one place, and also hard for employers and recruiters to find all of you. So and most of the time they just get a very kind of reduced impression of what you're capable of because they're just looking at the one perspective. And I think, of course, if you add in all the noise that's already we're already getting in this kind of recruitment industry from AI, because you can now you can apply with you can generate 200 applications to the same job, and the amount of kind of AI generated resumes and applications is just crazy. So this idea that you can actually track and verify all this information, I think, is going to be more and more important. And I think it's been very easy to build it on base. Again, I think from all kinds of support that we get, the technical one, but also the emotional one, and kind of just the energy of being around all these people, I think has been very important for kind of our progress.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, there's so many. I was just thinking that too. You could also even probably use AI from an employer or from somebody who's trying to check for certain skills.
Mm-hmm.
They could probably use that to look through, what is on chain, but it's not going to be easy at this point. But I think that's something with what you're building, there might be a way to do that more easily, or to search.
Yeah, because I mean, I think recruiters are already doing that, using AI to do that first screening of resumes and applications. I think the question is that AI is good when you have a lot of data, and what happens now is that you have very little data about someone's potential and capabilities, because they're just kind of parsing where you went to school or where you worked in the past, which of course there's a lot of biases on that, and kind of assessing all of you based on that.
Yeah, trying to dive down to the actual skills and what you can actually produce and do is a whole different level. So, okay, Adrienne, do you want to? What kind of? Oh, do you have to take off? Bye, Robin. Thanks so much for popping in.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you.
Real quick,
go ahead.
You guys, I mean, your culture carriers. I feel like we all look up to you. You've definitely started a trend of Farcaster content, right? Just so excited for you, and thank you. Great meeting everyone else.
Thanks, Robin.
Love what you're building, Robin. Come back and say hi.
And we appreciate you so much. You can always come back. All right, so Adrienne, I'm going to turn it over to you. What questions do you have for this amazing crew, this panel of base builders?
I'm just curious, is creating a resume just universally hated activity? Is that pretty much does anyone enjoy doing that? So Philippe, thank you for if we never have to do that again.
Yeah, exactly.
Philippe, how long have you been working on Talent Protocol?
Good question. 3.5 years, I think. We've been to several iterations. I think the problem was always the same, and the problem we're trying to solve and kind of the mission was always around how can we give visibility to these people that have potential and have skills, but kind of are completely kind of not seen in these processes for employer for recruiting. The first kind of iteration of it was because we started in kind of early 2021, so it was kind of the era of social tokens. So that was kind of the idea. Okay, if we create a token for your career and people can kind of buy it as a way to signal that they believe in your potential and believe that you'll be successful in the future, this will be a different kind of indicator, a different way for us to find people that don't have like that traditional resume or the traditional credentials that we usually rely on. So it's kind of giving the incentives for people to act as talent scouts and kind of sharing that publicly. That was fun for a while, got us some initial traction, and we learned a lot with it. But eventually, kind of as a model, it didn't work. But I think it opened the door for what we're trying to do now, which is collecting a bunch more types of data and a bunch of other ways of using on-chain primitives, tokens, and these kind of incentives for people to reveal kind of their preference and their trust. Because when you talk about reputation is mostly about what other people think of you. So it's very it lives in our heads. It doesn't even live online. So how do we incentivize people to kind of report honestly what they think about others? And I think this is something that I think we can only do on chain with the kind of tools and primitives we have here. And also, of course, it's also a great place to kind of store that information and share it publicly and make it interoperable. So there's still a long road ahead, but I think seeing or trying to project how the world will look like in the future, I think it's, at least for us, obvious that we'll need a solution like this one.
Well, you're helping make the future. It's like you can kind of visualize what the future is, but you're all kind of building that future. Prof and I talk a lot about trust. Comes up. It's a topic that comes up a lot.
I say this all the time, that trust is the true currency of Web3. It's not. Because regardless of whatever you're doing, anytime you're interacting, you're choosing to interact on a site with your wallet, you're trusting that site. So you're trusting the people behind the site, and you're trusting, that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, or not rug you, or not take all your funds.
Right, you're trusting Plaid.
Everything. It's everything.
When you pay your rent, you're trusting Plaid not to empty your bank account. And when you connect your wallet, you're trusting that someone audited that smart contract, because I don't actually read the code every time I connect a wallet.
Yeah. The person that you never met that has a profile photo of a monkey.
Exactly.
Honestly, profile photos, actually good indicators, pretty good indicators. I make a lot of judgments on profile photos. I'm just saying, on PFPs, and I'm not going to, say which ones I don't trust, but there are some that are really good indicators for certain activity. But I think there's so much there that we need to get a little better about who to trust, what to trust, and what you're putting together is fantastic. I want to circle back to Cat Town a little bit, because I think there's so much opportunity there. I think there's been so many teams who've been trying to crack the Web3 gaming for years. Like, that's all we heard about in 2021, and it didn't really happen. So it seems like the smart wallet is what is making this all actually come to a reality and actually be something that can really take off. So is that what you're thinking as well? Anyone can jump in, whoever wants to take that one.
Sure. I mean, I was just going to say that whenever it comes to onboarding new players and things, we're primarily, we're looking on-chain as well, but we're also looking off-chain. And anyone who's going to come on-chain as a first crypto user, or first, they've never been on-chain, they've never minted anything, they're going to want something that's like super familiar and super simple. And Smart Wallet is simply the best choice for that. So that's kind of the reason why we're really, well, that, and also there's incredible support. And I mean, the list is honestly endless, but the main reasons is the product itself. And it's just, it's so easy to get up and go with it. And, you know, I've onboarded friends before and they've looked at crypto before and they've seen like the normal, you know, wallets, and they kind of go, okay, I've got to write down these words. What are these words doing? But
yeah,
whenever it comes back to smart wallets, it's like, all right, yeah, you just do Face ID, and like that's it.
yeah,
and it's so simple.
and it's so familiar to, you know, we're used to that. So yeah,
that's definitely something that we keep in mind, is that if we're starting to get a little bit complicated, it's like, no, strip it back, simplicity. Think that has to be accessible for everyone. That's how we're going to get everyone onto Web3, onto the blockchain. Like, we just have to strip it back, make it familiar, make it simple. So it's definitely, I think, something that Base, definitely, that's one of their values that they have. And that's one of our shared values that we have for Cat Town, just that runs through all of it. Not the code, because coding is far too difficult for me. So that's why I just stick to the art. But
that's, but I think that's a, you know, it's a really good point. And I think that's the way you get to the billion users on chain, right? Is through things that are simple, like Cat Town and moshicam, where people want to do the activity and they don't even want to know or care what's in the background of that activity. And then realizing, oh, this is what crypto can do, that kind of thing, I think is pretty huge. One question I do have, though, because when I'm like jumping on different apps and then I have to fund a new wallet, it starts to get a little frustrating. So I'm wondering if there's any, for those who have been in crypto for a while, have there been some thoughts about how can we connect our different wallets together, or doing, I don't even know what the word is, but I know I've had like challenges with like, okay, now I can't use my wallet that I'm used to using because now I'm using the smart wallet that's embedded. I think for something like gaming, it probably doesn't matter. Like, same thing with moshicam. Like, I don't mind that wallet holds all of my moshicam. But for other things, I could see that being an issue down the road, where I don't want to have another wallet for over here for this and have this one over here for that. So any thoughts on how we tie these things together, or think that through at all, or what like future developments might look like? And I'm not sure who may even know the answer to this question.
From our perspective, building Cat Town, I think that's why we went with Smart Wallet. Is it you can use it across any app, and it acts like basically a completely normal wallet. It's just using session keys. Whenever we launched with a focus on embedded, you're exactly right. It's that whole flow of, okay, new wallet, fund it, do all the steps again. Whenever they should already have, if they've been in crypto for a while, they already have it. It's just embedded in another app, and that's one of the things with Smart Wallet, is being able to use, like, if you log into Cat Town with Smart Wallet and then log into moshicam, you're using the same wallet, so you're using the same funds, the same address, the exact same stuff, and that's what made us swap from embedded to Smart Wallet fully, because, you know, that whole flow of create a new wallet for the 20th time, fund it again, it's just, it's not good.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't do it again. Something just came up this week and I'm like, no, I'm not funding that. Like, I can't do it.
No, I think that's what's going to really make Smart Wallet, especially for builders, the key. Like, it's the most obvious choice right now. There's nothing sort of competing with it on the same level that they're pushing out features. And like I said, with the session key stuff, we're really excited for that, because it just changes the game completely. You wouldn't even know that it was a crypto game. So yeah.
And Will, from Base's perspective or Coinbase's perspective, it does seem like there's a ton of focus on smart wallet development and improving that experience. And so is that a big focus right now for Base and Coinbase?
Yeah, crypto has been too complicated for too long. There's incredible amount of interest in the space, people coming on chain, but we're really, like, I think, getting to getting saturated with that kind of group of people. We really need to move on to a new group of people that can look at what they're doing on Web 2 and say, this is just as good, but better. And there's a lot of room for opportunity for that. And so session keys is being an example, just being able to have the concept of even like a 30-day trial that just doesn't really exist, to date. And so it really creates a lot of unique opportunities, like with Cat Town, for example, just being able to play a game. You don't have to every few seconds or more, just be signing a transaction, click, take a picture of my face. So that's the direction things are going in, where crypto is what happens behind the scenes. And so I think when you combine that with something like talent, it really does create a new economy, a new open internet where I feel like even for me, it's been like a complete meritocracy where anybody right now can get online. You can join a community. You can start building relationships with people, and you can start working with them. You can start earning a living, and it's not, oh, you're in one country, I'm going to pay you this. You're in this other country, I'm going to pay you that. It's actually a meritocracy, and you get paid by what you contribute. And for me especially, that's been true. I've actually, frankly, I've never even met anybody on the base team face to face. I've never given them a hug, shake their hands. It's going to change at DEF CON. So if any of y'all are coming, we can all hug. But just even coming in the early days, working in the base Discord, it's that trust like that Adrienne was talking about. And it's probably, in my opinion, one of the best times to be doing things in the space, whether you're one of the first developers, one of the first builders making a game, one of the first builders building a way for people to actually come into this ecosystem and connect with others to make a better life for themselves. I can keep going on about it, but I really feel like if you give it an opportunity, anybody that comes in, you'll see that there's something really going on the more people that you talk to.
It was really fun. I think this whole year has been really fun to see the development of base, to see how it took off. We had the State of Farcaster report that happened that we got the first peek at today, and it was looking at the chains that most people use on Farcaster, and it was like not even close. It wasn't even base, like huge, like all the lines were blue. So it was really cool to see. Adrienne, what did I not touch on that you wanted to dive into here before we wrap up?
I don't know. I would just react to a few things. We talked about kind of the last generation of kind of crypto gaming and whatnot. And one thing I don't hear Cat Town talking about is play to earn. Like the focus sounds like it's play to play.
Yeah.
And it's a game because games are fun. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me, that actually.
Yeah, I mean, it technically is play to earn, I guess. I mean, you do earn cryptocurrency by playing it, but it isn't the primary focus. I think first and foremost, whenever we started building the fishing aspect, is this fun? And if it was fun, then we would build on the sort of the economics of like, okay, this fish is worth 20 kibble, this fish is worth, like, it's all very small values. It's still something, but it's more about making that something fun for the player, and sort of get them excited for the future, so that whenever we bring out our questing system or adventures, they can cook the fish, make buff food, and go on adventures and quests. The goal is to essentially have that all on chain. And yeah, I think our focus isn't on play to earn. You do earn, but it isn't our focus. If the game's fun, we think that people will come anyway. So that's
I think that's really important, because I think there's been a lot of games who just forgot the fun. And that's why a lot of crypto projects. A lot of crypto projects.
It's just it's kind of focused on speculation part, and then who does that attract, and where does that
go? If you leave off the fun, then forget it. Yeah, it's not gonna work.
I mean, a lot of the world is forgetting how to have fun. So we have to spread the virus.
Yeah, we're having fun. We're having fun on chain.
And all of you came, and I know you're hanging out on a Friday evening. Your time is afternoon for us.
Yeah.
So,
Cattown
this is
our
fun
life,
for us.
So
we are.
this is all we do.
It's Web3. It's 24/7.
We wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest.
And we love having you here.
Yeah.
As
And
we wrap
Philippe,
up, what other? Go ahead, Adrienne.
Well, I'm just kind of loving the direction, and I think just going back to talent protocol and what you're describing, Philippe, like, do we believe that talent is spread out throughout the globe? Like, yes, right? Like, we don't really think that, but historically, you have talent kind of like in certain pockets. So, I just think what you're working on is a really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's
solve.
one of our core beliefs is that talent is kind of evenly distributed geographically. We just don't look for it in the same way, of course. And I mean, this is not entirely true because, of course, bigger cities attract kind of more ambitious people that usually try to kind of be more focused on those areas. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be looking on the other ones as well, because a lot of people don't even have that ability to move to New York or other places. And it's, I mean, especially kind of our work and on chain, like Will was saying, I mean, he didn't meet the rest of the base team. So I think there's really no excuse for not looking into other places when everyone's kind of complaining of not finding talent.
And where you want to live may not be, there just may not be the types of jobs that you want to do. So those two things don't have to necessarily be connected anymore, which I think is huge. And I remember moving to Florida. This is in 2001. And I was trying to get my company to let me work remotely. And I finally was like, this ain't going to happen yet. But they ended up getting there, but it was a few years later. But it was that was super early. That was really early. Yeah. And it was complicated because it just was. So it's really cool to see all these shifts. And that
2001,
find talent everywhere.
We didn't even have high speed internet everywhere in 2001. No. I know. So it was wild. Will, do you want to chat about Base's regional build-a-thons that are?
Sure. Yeah. So definitely stay tuned. Coming up pretty soon, maybe in the next week. We're doing some regional build-a-thons and going back to this theme of really not being limited by technology anymore. We've had a bunch of brilliant people over the years thinking about like how can we build apps that change the world, that help the world? With these regional build-a-thons, we really want to take it as an opportunity to connect with people that like are very close to problems that can be solved by building on chain. Maybe connecting to better jobs. Maybe like, a lot of parts of the world we have Uber. Other parts of the world don't have that. Just even all kinds of peer-to-peer, removing the middle person, open economies, and that's I think going to be a theme you'll hear more about. So stay tuned on that.
Awesome.
X.com/base. We'll be sharing some details soon, but it's the Based Around the World build-a-thon. So
cool.
Very soon.
That's going to be fun. All right, we need to wrap up because we've got Purple Hour coming up at 4:30 with with Purple DAO and all the things they're doing on Warpcast. But this has been amazing. I've had so much fun, and it's been great to meet all of you, especially Will, just because I feel like I've known you forever, but I've never had a chance to see you face to face. So that's kind of cool.
Hug my laptop. All right, there we go.
Put the face with the PFD. And Adrienne, anything else before we sign off here? And
no, this is awesome. Great to
so cool.
Yeah. We're gonna switch. And just another shout out to Cattown, who is sponsoring some poker prizes later this evening, and sponsoring some GM Farcaster segments next week. So we're thrilled We're thrilled about that.
You'll be our CLP, our conversation liquidity provider next Friday as well. So you're getting a little bonus for this special day. I do have to shout out one comment because this is just funny. Toady is not part of this particular stream.
I didn't understand.
He was on earlier, and I was like, it's probably him. It's probably him coming in with a different name. No, maybe not. But I thought that was funny. Like he's always here. He'll be back. He was on actually earlier. So Toady Hawk, who's also super based, if you will. Okay, thank you all so much. We've had a blast. We're going to close out with our little closing credits, and then we'll be back at 4:30. So literally like 8 minutes from now. Yeah, 8 minutes from now for a purple hour. So we'll see you then. Thank you all. We really appreciate being here. Talent Protocol, Cat Town, and moshicam earlier.
Thank you.
Go check them out if you haven't already. And we'll see you in just a moment for Purple Hour.
Good morning, y'all. Happy anniversary.